Grand rising, grand arrival, grand return. Peace and blessings to the righteous and the repentant alike. I am Chief Sophia of the Americana Band of Indians, and this is a very important video. It is my retirement video. Now that Cancer has, Jupiter has entered Cancer, this is the anniversary coming into the Jupiter return. For this country, for the United States. And this is the start of a new cycle. And so when this country was founded, it's not what I was planning on saying. When this country was founded, when we came into our original being of a country, we had our, we started in Jupiter. Jupiter was in Cancer. And so as we formed the new country, we took on the Constitution. We took on various other rights that were inalienable rights, meaning you can't take them from me. And so all the things from the previous cycle, meaning Jupiter and the other signs up to this point, have basically been erased. We're not going by that anymore. And so I had already had this idea that this also meant that it's time for me to retire, which is great for everybody because I mean most people, not these weird spiritualists, but let me go back and tell a story and how this came about. I had to go up the road this weekend and I saw some of my family members. And one of my family members asked me, you know, what I was doing down here. And I was like, oh, I'm hanging out with the kids and this and that. And she said to me, well, I know you've got more jobs than that. And I was like, no, I'm retired. That came out of my mouth. I was like, oh my gosh. I am. I came to Florida. I had no idea that I was retiring. And what am I retiring from? I'm retiring from the 13 colonies. And now I'm a member of the United States. It was a physical thing. So I came down here in 2021. Yeah. I came down here in 2021. I moved down here in 2021. And basically from that time, it's been a transition. How I was going to describe this is some people are familiar with this. When you get out of the military, when you divest from the military, it's not immediate. First, you have to go through y'all know what word I'm talking about, where a debrief. You have to go through a debrief where you go through everything that you learned, find out what's classified and what's not classified, deal with certain things, close out all the paperwork, all of that. And so all the paperwork that I was doing, like, and I'm going to make some more videos about that, obviously, was basically me filing for my severance. So while I was a member, a worker for the 13 colonies, I had a certain volume of money I had to earn to contribute to that system. And I think it's been just about 40 years, from conception. Basically, so my birthday is this year in September. I'll be 40. 40 years is enough. I could have stopped at 30. I could have stopped at 21. Could have stopped at 18, really. But let's say I gave the system 40 years of my energy, tax free or fully taxed, because I had to pay the taxes on it. But I've given the system, the 13 colonies, 40 years of my life. And we're done. It's over. Now they have, it's funny, one of the problems with the government is that they were unable to process retirements quickly. It took about 10 months. And now they can process retirements in like 2 days. And so I started in the spiritual process of that before we had the ability to do this quickly. Now we have the ability to do this quickly. But for me, this has been a very long process, a very strenuous process, a very detailed process where, in fact, I had to revisit all the things I've done. And then, of course, along the way, you guys are, you military people are familiar with this. They ask her, "You sure? You sure you want to get out? You know, you can change your mind right now. We can send you to a great place." They're always trying to convince you not to get out. So when I got down here, I'm like, okay, I'm retired. I really did. That was my emotional state. I bought an emotional state with me of retiring from the 13 colonies. I acted on that, which was perfectly reasonable. I didn't work myself to death. I didn't go overboard. I didn't. In the midst of that, I filled out my paper for my severance because there's severance pay, there's retirement pay. When you retire, there's pay. So I filled out my paperwork. All of this paperwork I filled out was a part of my retirement pay. And basically, they tried to ignore it and say, no, 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 no. You didn't mean to do that. You did that by accident. You love the hustle. You love these 13 colonies. You love this stress and all of this stuff. And I kept saying, no, I don't. No, I don't. And so what they do, they kept taking stuff away. Well, don't you love the big house? Take the big house away. Don't you love the nice car? Take the nice car away. They took away everything that they gave me. Which is how it works when you retire out of the government. If you have a government phone, if you have a government car, you have a government credit card, whatever, they take it all from you. They literally take it from you. And then when you say, when it's over, then you have to be out here on your own. You know, but it's not on your own because you still have retirement benefits, pay, health care, all kinds of stuff. So they have to take from you, you know, what did Jesus say? Render unto Caesar what Caesar's, so that you have to render unto Caesar what Caesar's. But now that that's over, now it's time for the severance. When I ask people, it was almost 3 years ago, I made a video. I said, is it time to retire? If you don't retire, you can't get severance. If you don't retire, you can't get the benefits of your hard work. You have to retire. So I am announcing my retirement. Now, part of the trepidation I've been having, now we're in the midst of our feast. It's June the 9th. Jupiter has officially moved into Cancer. We're in the midst of our feast. One of the problems I had was, what am I going to do? This is always a question. Like, what are you going to do? You're retired. What are you going to do? Well, I got the answer to that. I was at my dad's house, and I was looking at instruction videos on how to make a bra. Just I'm always looking at different stuff, and it took me to all of these carnival videos, and I must have binge watched probably 2 hours of prep videos for Carnival. And that's what I'm going to do. My retirement is going to be spent culturally reinvigorating, introducing cultural things to the community. Now, we have a tribe here, right? And I have always said that the tribe is not a cultural tribe because I never resonated with any of the cultural things that they were trying to give, quote unquote, Black Americans, Native Americans. I never resonated with any of that. If you've been to a powwow, that's not how we party. That's not how we get down. I've been to Carnival. That's how we get down. And so the problem, what they took away culturally from Black Americans was our expression of Carnival. So this does not mean that we're going in and taking over Carnival from the Caribbeans or anything like that. We are gathering what is a part of our culture. Carnival culture was always a part of Black American culture. You could see it everywhere. You could see it in everything. And I, for one, am grateful that they were able to hold on to that part of the culture that we can just willfully go and regather. It don't take nothing. You don't have to be from a particular island to join a band. I mean, although our tribe is a band of Indians, so it's crazy. The language and all that stuff is already there. It's just you have to understand how to use it. So I am going to be a carnivaler. I'm going to study carnival. I'm going to go to carnivals. I mean, because even the time period, the first carnival and carnival season is Miami Carnival, and that's in October. That's during the Feast of Sukkot every year because it's always Columbus Day weekend, which basically is the end somewhere in the Feast of Sukkot. They literally, again, these holidays are here to trigger these memories. So it's always during the Feast of Sukkot. So basically, that starts carnival season. And then from there, you have carnivals all the way until when? Basically, when is the last carnival? It is right around our New Year. When we calculate our New Year, that is when carnival season is over. Nobody ever noticed that. Because if you let your enemies calculate your feast days, you can't see this. Because I was calculating the feast days, I was like, wait a minute. Carnival season is over by the start of our New Year. So we can do what? Passover. We can be prepared back home and ready for Passover. Also, I think our people always left this country and went to carnival in other places. I'm sure we did have carnival here. I do believe that was on May the 1st. That's why that day is so important to us. So I do believe we had carnival here, but we always, because those months between the Feast of Sukkot and the start of the New Year was our vacation. So we would go and have carnival in other places because it's not hurricane season there. It's warm in the islands. That's why people go to the islands for vacations. And when do you go? October to you definitely want to be back home by June the 1st because that's when hurricane season starts. Ain't no carnivals during hurricane season. You can see it's all, if you study this planet, you can see what's going on. And so that's what I'm going to do with my retirement. I am going to study carnival and I'm going to reintroduce carnival culture to Black Americans. That's what I'm going to do. Starting with myself, starting with my children. They have a kids carnival. Did y'all even know they have a kids one where they're dressed really nice, but they still get the backpacks with the feathers? The feathers, that should have been a key. Ding, 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 ding. This might be a part of our culture too. They wear big, giant, they call them backpacks. They wear backpacks with huge feathers. So you mean to tell me the feathered people of North America don't celebrate Carnival, even though Carnival and all the rest of the Americas, the South of America, the Caribbean of America, all these other American places that's in America, they all celebrate Carnival, but we never did here. Come on now. And Mardi Gras is not Carnival. The difference between Mardi Gras and Carnival is Mardi Gras is the what's the best way to say? It is the Haitian Empire version of Carnival. They took it all the way down. They turned it into something that was acceptable to the priesthood. So it's the priesthood version of Carnival, which is fine if that's your culture. I'm not here to downplay nobody's culture, but I'm from the Black Belt, okay? And in the Black Belt, we wear feathers, okay? And we party and we dance and we have a good time and we drink. That's what we do in the Black Belt. The rest of the people, I don't have, this is not a judgment on anyone else. This is me rediscovering my culture, but it has to start with me retiring. So I announced my official retirement from the system. It was effective on June the 8th with the last day of Jupiter in Cancer, in Gemini. That is it. I am retired. I have done with my declassification or what I called it before. It's done. We're done with that. Now we're moving into retirement. Now, Carnival is expensive. So this is beneficial to everybody because now I don't feel any kind of issue with making money because I need the money to go to Carnival. I need the money for the backpack. I need the money to get into shape, all of that stuff. It's an expensive process. While I was working for the system as a part of the 13 colonies, I had no incentive to be in shape because you had to sit at a desk. Now, at least a few times a year, I'm going to have to go out, stand in the hot sun, and shake my hind parts for about 12 hours. I need to be in shape for that. There's no getting around that. You can't be out of shape going out there with them costumes on. You can't do it. You got to be in shape. You got to it's a year-round training regimen program in order to be ready for that. And so that's what I'm going to be working on. So, we're going to be opening up the books. The website is going to be up. We're going to be fundraising for Carnival, not just for me, but for the tribe, to take the kids, to introduce the kids to this culture. We're going to be setting up, I'm going to be at this one. If anybody wants to come, y'all can meet me here. We are going to be getting together. This is not playtime anymore. I take culture very seriously, and that's always been a problem. I take culture very, very seriously. And to the 13 colonies and to that whatever job I was assigned to, where they've made over $100 million, just off my energy for sure. I sent them a bill of exchange for $100 million. So, I mean, a bond that they get to keep. So they've made $100 million off my black hind parts over the last 40 years. My severance package of $5 million to reset my nervous system is crumbs. It's crumbs compared to how much they've made off of me and my energy for the system. So my energy is going to be totally refocused on my culture. And the number one core cultural activity is going to be Carnival. Now, we're going to have our own Black American band and all of that stuff. That's coming. But first, I got to study Carnival because I really don't know a lot about it. I've been a ton of times, but I don't know about how it's structured and all. I gotta go. You have to go. Trinidad and Tobago, they have like the best one I've heard. I've heard about the one in Rio. I know other islands, Jamaica. They all have carnivals. So I got a lot of carnivals to go to. So I'm gonna give myself a good 10 years, like I do everything, to study the culture. It's probably not going to take that long, but that's what I'm going to do with the first 10 years of my retirement. I'm studying Carnival culture and contemplating how to integrate it into Black American culture. It might not take 10 years for me to get that all in my mind, but that's what I'm giving myself. So I need my severance pay immediately because I've got to get started. I got to get started. It's a lot of work that needs to be done so that I can get into them costumes, get on down them roads, and all the things that come along with it. So Miami Carnival is in Columbus Day weekend. I will be going. I got contacts down there, so I'm already trying to figure it out. I'll share the information here if anybody is interested in that kind of stuff. I'm probably going to get a booth. I know I'm going to get a booth because my birthday is right before that. So that's how I'm celebrating my birthday. I'm going to Carnival in Miami for my birthday. And so if anybody's interested in that kind of stuff, stay tuned. I'll announce it. And we have enough people, we'll do a meetup. I got Airbnb contact down there. So that's where we're moving. We're moving into the culture. I have long avoided the culture because I, as a Scorpio person, do not like this whole anti-sex belief of the church. And it never felt comfortable to me because it puts people emotionally in an emotionally deprived state. And you can agree or disagree. That's neither here nor there. This is my belief. I believe that being anti-sex puts people in an emotionally deprived state. And if you start that too young, then it creates children who are emotionally deprived. That's why I love the fact that they have a kids version. So you learn about the importance of getting that energy out, and it's not a competition. Like, I have wanted to put my daughter in pageants, but I felt uncomfortable about pageants. I don't feel uncomfortable about this. If you can get on that front line, shake them feathers, you'll be in the front. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a competition. It's just, do you have the capacity for it? Some people do and some people don't. And being that my son is a Venusian, very important to get him introduced to these themes and concepts young so that he doesn't turn into one of these uh, rapey DJ academics types. I need him to have this well within his system, that all of this stuff is a part of the natural way that life goes, so that he can grow into his masculinity comfortably and not be ostracized for being masculine, which is nuts. This is the solution. The solution that everybody say they're looking for in Black culture is in integrating Carnival into our feast days. I don't know how. I really, it's actually surprising to me that nobody ever thought of this. I mean, they have them in the hoods, but they never made a place for Black Americans. You always had to join, you had to, oh, what country are you representing? If you're representing America, they looking at you crazy. Now it's not. No. We're representing America. Okay? We're not going to use the Black American flag. I have another flag in mind that integrates all the pieces, because the Black American flag excludes the Americas. You have to have the American. The only way this is possible is if we have America and not the 13 colonies. And people need to understand that. The only way regaining of our culture is possible is because we're in America. If we're in the 13 colonies or however this country was set up, once we started integrating in other cultures, it would be impossible. But because it's America and I have freedom of religion, freedom of expression, freedom of speech, that's the reason why we can integrate back into this culture. Without America, there is no way for Black Americans to integrate back into this culture, because the Haitian Empire was taking over America, the landmass. Before the colonizers, the pale colonizers came in to take over America, the landmass, the Haitian Empire was taking over America, the landmass. So if we have the Haitian Empire, we have Mardi Gras everywhere. But Mardi Gras is a religious, it's for the priests. It's what the priests are supposed to do, not the people. The people, we have our own celebration. Again, May 1st is our official Independence Day, okay? May 1st is Black American Independence Day. It's May the 1st. And we know that because May the 1st was, number one, it was the day of John Brown's raid. We talked about this in a video that I made about the Francis Scott Key Bridge. So now you can see the whole timeline. With destruction of the Francis Scott Key Bridge, that was the destruction of Black people and slavery. That was the end. That was the symbolic end of our Black American enslavement to their colonial system. That was the literal that's why I'm from Maryland. They haven't rebuilt that bridge. They don't even know how to rebuild the bridge. They can never rebuild that bridge. They literally can't rebuild. Just go and look it up. They cannot rebuild that bridge. They don't have the money. They're in huge debt right now in Maryland, for one. And for two, they don't know how they built it in the first place. So they can't rebuild it. That's it. They can never re-enslave us. They can never re-enslave our people. Again, this goes back to the Americans and all this stuff. I did a whole 2-hour video about that bridge collapse. It was a very, very important day. That thing being destroyed by the foreigners. And their commercialism, their corrupt commercialism was destroyed on that day. But why is it May 1st? May 1st is the day. Remember, I talked about this too in that video. That is when they went down to that track in South Carolina where they found a bunch of our people had been buried, and they did a burial ceremony for those people. That burial ceremony more than likely was our first post-colonial carnival. Our first big post-colonial carnival. And like I said, where I'm from, we always celebrated May Day with the maypole and all of that, which is similar. I can see how our May Day is going to be more like a festival, May Day. But we can go and participate in carnival as the same people. That's our shared culture. We're going to have May Day It's going to be more like what they did on that track, celebrating our ancestors and all of that. Carnival is now what a lot of the islands have done. They put their carnival on their Independence Day. Our carnival is going to be a little bit different. It's because we're here on this landmass. Things are not going to look the same. They do their carnival parades. Ours is going to be more like a May Day situation. But May Day is our Independence Day. And I'm sure I'll be able to tie that in over and over and over again. That is our Black American Independence Day. It's May Day. That's why they tried to take it over with the socialists, with their fight for workers, whatever that crap is. That's not our Independence Day. I mean, that's not their day to take over. That's our Independence Day. So therefore, that's gonna be gone anyway. They're destroying all of that right now with what they're doing in California. So now you don't have to announce your retirement, but just know whatever if if you're feasting, this is a feast, right? And this is for our Jubilee. Well, Jubilee, when it starts, is retirement. You're retired. Now, it might be retired for a short year, but the big 49-year one is everybody is retired. They have to send everyone back to where they came from. We never did that. So that's why I'm officially, this is my retirement. I am retired. I have to be sent back to my father's house with my dowry intact so that I can do my father's work. That is what I am proclaiming. If you resonate with that, announce your retirement too. You can drop it in the comments. Say, I'm officially retired. I'm officially retired. And what I'm going to do with my retirement is focus on my culture, the culture that I've been neglecting. I've been neglecting it in the last 3 years because they have been keeping me isolated so that I would choose to go back to work for the system, the colonies. I don't work for the colonies. These are not colonies. These are states. And really, it's not, the states don't even matter. This is the federal government. I'm an American. And the benefit of being an American is the benefit of saying, okay, I retire, American, where's my severance? What did Kendrick say in his song? He said, pay the real niggas the severance. Pay the real niggas they severance. And he literally says that. But you can't get paid severance until you quit. Severance is when you quit, or when you fired, or when you retire. They're not going to fire you because they need your energy. You have to quit and you have to retire. I suggest retirement is more benefits with retirement. So I'm retired from the 13 colonies officially as of yesterday, June the 8th, 2025. I'm retired. So this is my congratulations to myself. This is my celebration. This is our feast. We're feasting. You know, this is why you can't be fasting right now. This is why we're feasting, because how can you celebrate when you're fasting? You can't celebrate when you're fasting. It's not a celebration when you fast. It's only a celebration when you feast. So, but like I say, most Orthodox, they celebrate feast with fast. But this is actually a fast-free week because yesterday was Ascension. Now, mind you, keep this in mind. Oh, there was a crop circle yesterday, June the 8th. There was a crop circle. Leading into Ascension, that's when California descends into chaos publicly. People say there's not really chaos on the ground, but California publicly descends into chaos. Now, mind you, I said in my video from last week on Zechariah that California is Shinar. Shinar is Babylon. Okay? So Babylon descends into chaos right before Ascension. On Ascension morning, we get a crop circle. And then the day after Ascension, Jupiter moves into Cancer. You can't make this up. These are not a set of events that you can plan out. Now, of course, the Babylon people, which is why I'm going to refer to California, I would suggest moving out of Babylon, but, some people love Babylon. So Just know that you're in Babylon if you're in California, okay? It's Shinar. It's Babylon. It's definitive at this point. So some people love Babylon. They'll stay in Babylon. Do you, boo? I don't have nothing to do with Babylon, okay? I've been there like 3 times, and I could not be convinced that it was a place that I wanted to live. Maybe nice to visit and all of that, but do you? As a matter of fact, let me talk about this in this video. Most black people in this country are from the black belt. Okay. Understand that. Even if you live somewhere else in America, you're probably from the black belt, which is basically kind of around the Mason-Dixon line to about Texas, right? This southern part, this curve. Most black people are from the black belt. What they did with migration was they moved people from various points outside of the black belt, right? So first they moved black people from the black belt, and they took them up to Boston and Massachusetts and Maine, because wherever we are, there's a wall of fire around us. So basically, wherever you find black people, you're not going to find certain things happening because there's a wall of fire around us. And so that's why they took people from here. They didn't even know that this land was connected. Just understand, like, we knew it was connected because we traveled up and down the land. The colonizers didn't realize this land was connected the way that it was. So they took slaves from like here in Florida, took them up to Maine. We learned about that when we're talking about Tabitha for the Salem witch trials. They said they brought her from, they don't know where she came from, but then she went down to Aruba, then up to Maine or Massachusetts. I'm sorry. So you had black people being taken from the black belt down into the Caribbean islands. So that's why those are our people down there. Then taken from the Caribbean islands up to the north. That was the triangle. That was a slave trading triangle. From here, the black belt, down to the islands, from the islands up to the north. That is the triangle. Not the trade that it didn't go across to Africa. It started here in the black belt, went down to the islands and up to the north. That was the first set of migration. That's why the islands are mostly protected, except where those so-called Haitian Empire loyalists are, because they were part of the priesthood, and the priesthood did not do what they were supposed to. So they're in big trouble. Okay, not including them, but they're a small minority, so we're not going to pay attention to them. But what they did within America, they took a lot of people from the black belt after they had moved them further north, trying to extend this area. Then what did they do? They took a lot of people from the black belt to where? Chicago, to the Midwest, so that they could use the land in the Midwest. And then they tore the Midwest up, made it impalatable for Americans to be there too, black Americans. And then what did they do? They took us from the Midwest and then out to the West Coast. So a lot of people in the West Coast are also from the black belt. And if you're from the West Coast, you know that. You might have been there 100 years or so, but 100 years ain't nothing. We've been on this land for time immemorial. 100 years ain't nothing. Okay? So the people who came to this land to take over it knew that wherever we were would be safe. This is why they're trying to trigger that San Mateo or whatever fault that's right here in the black belt, because they figure if they can trigger that fault line, that it will force us to migrate to one of these other areas. And it's not going to work. As a matter of fact, a lot of black people are migrating back to the black belt. I call black people, come back to the black belt. Come back home to the black belt where your ancestors died. Okay. You don't have to. I'm just saying there's a lot of beautiful land. I was in West Virginia. I was in Maryland. I was in Virginia. I drove down. I'm in Florida. It's a lot of beautiful land. Alabama, all this stuff. There's a lot of beautiful land out here. I am, putting out a public call for black people to consider coming back to the black belt. It's beautiful. You'll feel at home. Stop living amongst your enemies and come back to your home, okay? Even I'm from the black belt, which Maryland is part of the black belt, but it's too far north. I'm back down in the part that is actually, um, outside of the 13 colonies, because me personally, I can't live in the 13 colonies. Everybody don't have the same problem as me. So if you weren't born in the 13 colonies, for sure, you could move to Virginia or North Carolina, South Carolina. It wouldn't be a problem for you. For me, it's a problem. West Virginia is beautiful. I wouldn't recommend black people move to West Virginia. My dad lives in Martinsburg. It's not a lot of them, but it is a very rich history because of the whole John Brown thing that happened right on the edge of West Virginia and Virginia were one state. So that happened right on the edge of Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland, and Virginia. So, I implore people, consider moving back to the black belt. Okay, maybe it's not for everybody and whatever, but for your retirement, you may want to consider this as a great place to live. I don't care what they say. These invaders are going to have to go. So I implore you, come back to the black belt. It'll be probably one of the best investments you ever made. So, because that's what they did. Wherever we go, but even if you don't, wherever you go, there's a wall of fire around you. Because in Zechariah it says, our people will spread out to all the corners, and there's going to be a wall of fire around you. Wherever you are, there's a wall of fire around you. That's why in Revelations, the angel told John to measure the court, the temple, but to not measure the court. The court is where the Gentiles are. The court doesn't matter because the Creator is not protecting the court. They got other issues they got to deal with to get protection. The only ones who are being protected by the temple are the ones who are inheritors. So wherever you are, you're safe. You're good. That's what we are. Wherever you are, you're good. I'm just saying, for the sake of reinvigorating your connection to the culture and to the land, consider coming back to the black belt. And that's my suggestion. That's my request. Just think about it, okay? It might be a little bit weird, but I think it would be beneficial if our people came back to our lands. How can you claim a land that's not yours? You don't even possess the land. You have to possess the land. So that's another thing. Come into the black belt, buy land. You don't have to buy a lot. You don't have to buy acres and thousands of acres. Nobody say that. Buy your land, because guess what? That part is being measured and is written in the book. Once you purchase the land, it's written in the book. Okay? So this is all Zechariah. Like, we're going to be in Zechariah for a long time. I mean, probably years and years to come, I'll be referring to stuff in Zechariah. I don't right now. That's the top of my list. So that's my video for you guys. I'm retired. The great part is now I need to make a lot of money because all these things cost money. I have to start getting myself ready. I'm celebrating the Feast of Sukkoth at Miami Carnival. You guys think about if you want to go. I think the website is miamicarnival.org. I want to get a booth. A booth is just like I want to get a booth. I want to get a booth at the Feast of Booths. Oh my gosh, you guys. You can't make this up. You can't. I want to get a booth at the Feast of Booths. I want to get a booth at the Feast of Booths. Y'all, you can't make this up. This is just incredible to me. So continue with your feast. Of course, Christ is risen. And I'll see you in the next video. Shalom.